Well, I just had to run and get some batteries because the batteries on the camera, they weren't dead, but I didn't want them to die. So I had to run and grab a pair of batteries. And while I was running home, or while I ran home, I had a lock that I had to do some work on, and I picked up some CRC white lithium. And I'm going to try putting a little bit of that on that head, see if I can get it to slide back together, maybe glue, or I don't know. We'll see what happens on that. I do really like this slick tripod. It does not make it easy to real quick take the camera off the head. It's a lot more solid though. It is just heavier, and I mean there are some advantages to the other ones, but this one is something I've always wanted, or something like this, and I don't have a problem at all using a 45-year-old tripod, if that's how old this one is indeed. It is a very well made device. I'm going to use it, and we'll see updates on stupid Walmart $30 thing over there. I just grabbed some batteries, and I knew that one of them was charged and the other one had been used. So these are two that are used that I just took out, and the other two were used when I took them out of the other camera the other day, and I just didn't charge them. I need to charge them. I'm going to grind some wheat. This is noisy. It takes some time. I've got, this is a 2/3 cup. That's what I used to measure it. I put a cup and a third, two of those, into the grinder. I'm going to do that. I want to get enough of this ground to make some bread tonight, and I don't know how much I'm going to need because I'm adjusting my recipe. How much start I have, and then I divide it by how much start the recipe calls for, and whatever that increase is, I do that for the flour and the water that goes into it as well. Sourdough bread is really simple. Sourdough start, water, salt, flour, and oil is if you want. I've done it with or without, but usually it's just flour, water, sourdough, and usually a little bit of salt. But I'm going to grind some. We'll get back to this. Just kind of a little side note, footnote, whatever. I don't have a lot of money, but there's a little health food store. It's called Dixie Nutrition, about a half a mile away from Mom's house, and they do have the bulk grains. That's where I get these. This is hard red wheat. I don't remember if it's organic or not. This is a soft white wheat. This one is $1.05 a pound. This one was $1.15 a pound. I got this because I want to try something else. I've researched a little bit, and they said that if you have hard red, hard white, and soft white, you have all your flours covered, because this is a lower protein, more like your cake flours. This is your bread flour, and in between is the hard white wheat, which they don't have, but that's okay. I'm going to be doing a little bit of this. I found a recipe and it calls for cake flour. Let's walk over there. Mom's freezer, and she got some cake flour so I can try a recipe and do a video about it. Gonna talk about that. Put it in the freezer, and if there's any critters in it, it kills them, and then you can sift them out. This is just gold medal bread flour. It's a little bit cheaper than King Arthur here, so that's what I use because like I said, don't have a lot of money. And I picked this up the other day just because I saw it have a recipe that calls for this. This is mazza farina. This is fine corn flour, instant corn mazza flour. So we will be doing more things in the future. Those are in Mom's freezer, just in case there's any critters in them to kill it off. I got the bowl out to put the screen on because it'll be easier with the larger, deeper bowl than the white ones that I used last time. And I'm going to grind some flour. I just wanted to bring this up, the flour issue and the multiple varieties and types, and how the different grain. Sorry about that. Getting used to this other tripod. New to me, but not new. So there are a little differences in not only the wheat, but also the flours that they can make from it. This is whole wheat flour or graham flour. I'm not grinding this really fine. I could go considerably finer, even with this, which doesn't go ultra fine. And then when I sift it out, it'll be a sifted red wheat flour, which is basically what they use to make bread flour out of. And we're going to do that. I'm not going to put you through watching me grind. I just wanted to do a little bit today. I'm probably going to grind some of the white wheat as well. Oh, my little tube, by the way. Mom had this little pinch chip clip, and so I used it. It's still a little bit loose, but it's helping hold that on so that this doesn't have flour out for a couple feet. And this has to be, because there are gussets underneath the granite countertop, this has to be right on the edge, so it makes a mess not only on the counter but on the floor, and it's just easier to have this tube here. I know, I said I wasn't going to torture you through me grinding flour. This is actually pretty fine, and that's still creating a lot of large bran. It's not as tight as it'll go. This will tighten up. Sorry. It will go finer, but I wanted to leave it a little bit bigger so it's easier to get the bran to sift off, because it's a little bit bigger. By the way, the grain company that is local, well, not local, but not too far, actually, I'd love to be able to afford to buy flour in bulk, or not flour, excuse me, grains in bulk, and they sell them. Hard white wheat, soft white wheat, hard red wheat, barley, rye, the works, rice, all that. Why was I going there? I'll have to remember why I was going there. Oh, geez. So I ground a little bit more, I don't know, 15 or 20 turns on the grinder, and I remembered the point of the grain company. It's actually Honeyville Grains, I think, is the company. It's Honeyville, I just don't remember. I think it's Grains, but I may be wrong. They actually sell the bran from the wheat. They also sell flours as well as grains, and they actually sell the bran on their website. They had it. I was looking last night, doing a kind of a dream thing. They also have legumes, and between the legumes and the seeds and the grains and all that, I could have had, I don't know, $500 play order, but you know, it's just me dreaming. But that was just what I wanted to comment on, is they did actually sell the bran, so you could make it, however you would use the hard red wheat or the bran flakes to make the bran, like all bran, or the bran muffins, I guess. But So there is a use. It's not just a throwaway on the bran. I was wondering on that because basically a third of the weight sifting the flour is the bran, and that I don't like to waste stuff. And it comes from growing up. Mom always said her saying was "waste not, want not," and it stuck. But I'll have to look into using the bran because I don't want to throw it away. If you're interested, this is the bran left over from what I ground the other day. So it is still here. I didn't just toss it, but I'm going to grind some. Random thought. We'll have to come up with some way to use that bran, maybe some bran muffins. Mom has a recipe using all bran. Maybe I'll come up with something with just using bran. I had to do the grinder finer because it was not working as well. It kept loosening. And that's just the bran that's remaining from the first sifting on the flour. And this is the flour that I've gotten. I ended up putting all the flour that I'd already sifted today back through. I'm actually grinding the rest of that, sifting it with this small sifter, and then I'll go to the other screen, which is a little bit finer. This one looks like about a 20, 24 per inch. That one looks like it's about a 30, maybe a little more per inch. But I just thought I'd mention that. I do have this as tight as it'll go now. This is as fine as this Victorio hand crank mill will take the flour. Not saying that there's anything particularly bad about it, just that, I mean, it works. For what it is, it works. It's an inexpensive grinder, and it works. There are definitely some improvements. How it keeps, how tight it keeps it, and how well it keeps it. Something to keep the flour from making such a mess on the other end. But for what it is, it works. I'm grinding some flour. We'll get back to it. I know it. I'd love to have a wonder mill, but can't have everything, especially when you're broke. Well, I'm just guessing, but I'm probably going to need close to a kilogram of flour. And this is the flour I'm planning to use when I make bread tonight and tomorrow. I have 536 grams, so I have about half what I need. So I'm going to weigh out some more flour, or some more wheat. I add about 450 grams of wheat, and I guess I'm going to be grinding for a while. I'll show you in a minute what some differences, again probably, but deal with it. So I weighed my flour, and I had 536 grams. I want about 450 more, so I actually had 700 grams that I did out there. And I'm doing this for example. This is hard red wheat. These are the whole wheat berries right there. This is hard red wheat flour. Not been sifted, just, no, sorry. Hard red wheat flour. Not been sifted, just the whole grain. The whole wheat flour. This is a sifted hard red wheat flour. You do notice this one is darker. And then this is the bran that I sifted out of this. There you can definitely see the difference in the color. Just for fun, I only use the small coarse sifter. This is the whole wheat flour. Gonna just sift it. And there's the bran that's left over. Well, I don't know where the color, where the shows up best, But there's where it is, and there's the flour that's sifted out of it. So put that over there, and there you can see the bran more clearly. Definite difference in the sifted and the unsifted and the bran. But I'm going to get back to doing this. I've got to do a bunch more to try to get about a kilo of flour because I'm sifting it. I did make bread last week or the week about 10 days ago, and all I used was unsifted hard red wheat flour. It came out really good. It does have an amazing flavor, leaving the bran in the, look at that, see that flour in there? Leaving the bran in does have an amazing flavor. It helps with digestive health. However, if you're not used to eating whole grains, it can cause issues for people, and that's why a lot of people don't eat the whole grain. And this, I actually don't mind eating the whole grain. It's just sifting it, you get a better rise on your bread. I think I've still got some bread. If I do, I'll get it out and show you. This is out of Mom's fridge. She actually does have 2 pieces of the... This is sourdough bread made with hard red wheat. It's more dense, obviously, than using a bread flour or a sifted flour. I want to compare this to the bread I'm going to make. Well, I'll start it today. I'll make it tomorrow. It's a day-and-a-half process. I'll start it tonight. I'll bake it tomorrow. But I want to see the difference with the whole wheat, the whole grain versus the sifted grain. I know that a lot of it's coming out in the bran. There's a lot of weight coming out. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to get back to grinding. I might have to get out my white lithium because the grinder squeaks. But I just wanted to show this for an example. It is a lot of work to grind your own grain, particularly using a hand crank grinder. It only holds about 2 cups of grain, and it takes about 10 minutes to grind that 2 cups of grain. But if it comes down to it and you needed to, you can always do this, and that's kind of why I do it. Yeah, I'd love to have a Wonder Mill, but I'm broke and I don't have $359 or whatever the cost is of a Wonder Mill to throw out there. I'd love to have some better sifters for making this to sift out the flour, but I don't even have the $40, $50 to do for that. So I'm just doing what I can do with what I've got, and that's kind of what I want to show you. It's just, perhaps you have to cook. Well, I'm at a couple hours. One part of it was fighting with the tripod and doing a little video, which I'll try to get posted and put links to either or in the video if I can find out how to do that. I've never gotten that into doing it. And I've been grinding flour and sifting flour, trying to get a homemade bread flour, less bran, so that it has better rise, better loft. But I've also been kind of reinventing the wheel doing this, because the sifting and how I'm doing it, my mind's been, well, hold on, let me sift some more and I'll show you. Okay, this is reinventing the wheel. There's some whole red wheat flour right here. And I'm going to sift it a little bit into this bowl. And just going side to side does the job. However, if you kind of do well, I put too much, a rolling motion, imagine a tumble dryer or a cement truck made out of screen. Several screens follow the coarsest screen, say a 0.6 millimeter or 20 per inch in the center, with then the next screen, which would be about a 40 count outside of that, and then the 0.3 millimeter or 50 count out on the outside, and you ran it through to sift your flour to get the bran off. And then, because you can't just do it once, you've got to do it, have a double redundant system, at least double redundant. Run it through a similar process 3 or 4 times. You know, it's just my mind working. Is here you've got this drum with a turning, something in it to turn it that's at an angle so that it rolls it. Just a slow, wouldn't have to turn very fast. And then dump out, start at one end, the flour would end up, and the bran would dump out at the other end, from wherever you put it in. Just me thinking, for some reason my brain always has to have something like that going on. And it's not that I haven't come up with a few good ideas. I've had a few stolen because I mentioned it. This one here, for example, I mentioned it. And I don't know what they use commercially for doing this. However, I don't have the money or the means to make things happen. Even though I can come up with them, I just don't have the funds to make them happen. It's almost too bad you couldn't do something that was grinding it and immediately going out of the grinder into the sifter. Hopefully not hand grinding, because that would take forever. It takes about 10 minutes to grind 2 cups of flour, and grain. I've ground about 5 so far, and I've got another couple left to grind. But just for a thought, and I don't know if I'll even put this in the video or not, but I'm going to grind some more flour. But that's me reinventing the wheel. This is the bran that I've already screened out with the coarser screen. I'm just going to try to get a little bit more flour out of it. I'm sure that you could screen this enough times with the multiply redundant system to get all the red out. They do it commercially, obviously, so unless they bleach it, which they may. But I'm just playing with flour. Well, I just forgot to record, but this is the sifted flour. I weighed it. We're at 1,162 grams, which is 2.895, give or take, ounces, which should get me through what I plan to do tomorrow with the bread, tonight and tomorrow. I'm not going to put everybody through me making bread again. But that is the flour that I came up with from grinding the other day and again grinding today. Sifting it multiple times through 2 different screens, and I did the finer screen twice, and I sifted the bran several times. There's the bran. You can actually see lines as I've added to it. There's still some flour in it. But I actually had a thought for the bran. I might try feeding the sourdough with the bran. It might like it. I don't know. Not feeding it for like on a bread recipe, but I might try it with feeding a batch in the fridge. It comes down to that waste not, want not, that all my life I grew up from my mom. Just, I don't know if you can see it with the reflections, but look at how dark that bran is. That's definitely the red wheat versus the flour. And the flour could probably be sifted finer. I'm hours and hours and hours into 2.5 pounds of flour. But I have been doing video and all kinds of stuff. I do enjoy spending time in the kitchen. I don't know that I enjoy spending this much time on this project, but hey, it's a learning experience. And I mean, I didn't spend all the time. I mean, I've almost, well, 2 hours and 20 minutes, I guess, give or take, 30 minutes in the kitchen this morning to grind and sift this. I have cleaned up most of, not all, of the kitchen. I've still got to do dishes, but I am not just grinding flour. There is more to it than that. And I want to share it with you. I'm not going to have you guys go through the bread making process with me over the next day and a half, starting tonight and going into tomorrow. I will show you the difference between that whole wheat bread I made the other day and what this comes out as. The loft of the bread, as well as the color and everything. And we'll play with that another day. I think I'm done for now on this one. Have fun. Thanks for watching. We'll get back to stuff later. Thanks for watching Perhaps Cooking. Feel free to share, give me a thumbs up, or subscribe.